Hello everyone, and welcome to my Kirby Squeak Squad 100% tutorial. The goal of 100% is to collect all 120 chests scattered throughout all of 51 stages, and beat the game by defeating Dark Nebula. Kirby Squeak Squad 100% is all about fast movement, mixing, complex bubble routing, as well as bubble duplications. Throughout this route, we'll be using abilities including Wheel, Sword, Fire, Tornado, High Jump, as well as many others. The route I am teaching today is based off of the route in Wakaza's 100% world record of 5730. There are some routing differences in this tutorial to make certain segments easier for newer players. Now before we begin, let's talk about version differences. Kirby Squeak Squad can be played on all DS or 3DS line of systems with little to no difference in loads. However, Kirby Squeak Squad was also released on the Wii U Virtual Console. Wii U VC is known to save about 3 minutes and 40 seconds in any percent, and is estimated to save over 5 minutes in 100%. This is thanks to faster loading and the lack of pause when swallowing a copy ability. Wii U VC has a little bit of input lag compared to DS, which is manageable. However, the touchscreen has nearly half a second of lag on Wii U VC. This means you can be a little less patient with bubble duplications, however everything else involving the touchscreen is more difficult. Today I will be playing on the Wii U VC version of the game. It is important to note I prefer to play the game by looking at only the Wii U gamepad screen. I don't like switching between looking at a monitor and the Wii U gamepad, each having different delays. This means if you play on a monitor or on a DS, you will need to adjust some of the visual cues shown in this video. You may also notice I'm playing on the Japanese version of this game. There are no noticeable differences between the Japanese and North American versions of Squeak, aside from a few bugs that have no effect in a speedrun setting. Now let's talk about movement and tech. When traveling as normal Kirby, it is fastest to slide whenever you can. Pretty much the only time you don't want to be sliding as normal Kirby is when there is an enemy in your path. If you are about to slide off a ledge, you can perform something called a slide boost. When sliding off of a ledge, hold up to float, and Kirby will retain his speed from his slide, which can be a lot. The closer you are to the ledge, the faster your boost will be, but the harder the timing will also be. Here is my trick for slide boosting that I use. Once I slide towards the edge, I slide my finger up and overstrike on the D-pad. I find by doing it this way, this gives me a lower chance of accidentally pressing left or right on the Wii U gamepad's D-pad. Just make sure not to accidentally flick the left stick in the process. Next, let's look at crouch canceling. By holding down to crouch while inside an enemy, Kirby will take no knockback and will keep his ability after getting hit. Now let's talk about the most important ability in this run, Wheel. In wheel form, you can either do a short hop or unwheel. Once you have unwheeled, you can perform something called a wheel jump. By pressing and holding A, and then pressing B immediately after A, Kirby will gain an absurd amount of height as he begins to wheel. This makes Wheel both the fastest horizontally moving ability and the fastest vertically moving ability in some cases. You can start wheeling in front of you or behind you. By doing a backwards wheel start or wheel jump, Kirby will not be able to bonk for a short period of time. But just like normal turning, Kirby won't be able to cancel wheel in this short period of time and is vulnerable. Otherwise, while not turning, Kirby is completely invincible. When entering a room or a stage, you can buffer the B button during the load. This means you can use wheel on the first possible frame. Exclusive to starting a stage, you can continue holding A after selecting the stage from the level map to buffer a mid-air jump on the stage. This means when you have wheel, you can press and hold A, and once the screen fades to white, press and hold B. By doing this, you will perform a mid-air wheel jump. You can also buffer fire only between rooms by double tapping forward on the D-pad and then pressing B once the screen has faded to white. Kirby will perform a burning attack on the first possible frame. Timing starts upon pressing Story on the File Select menu. Skip the cutscene by mashing Start. Once you leave the Warp Star, press B before touching the ground to do an inhale. This will prevent you from bonking off the floor. At the first ledge, perform a slide boost. You can jump over this Waddle Doo if you'd like, but here I perform a crouch cancel, which saves very minimal time. Float up to the next sledge, and perform another slide boost above the Sparky, and enter the door. In the second room, we grab Fire. An important thing to note with Fire is that every time you want to do a burning attack midair, you will need to input a dash input before doing so each time. Buffer a dash input when entering the final room. You can do a slide boost off this ledge if you'd like, but I prefer to just jump high and burn past everything. When collecting the sword bubble, a pop-up will appear. The fastest way to get rid of this pop-up is actually by holding down on the touchscreen. The pop-up will go away on the first possible frame. After the third pop-up, you will be collecting your first chest in the run. Make sure not to miss it. Start 1-3 with a slide, then start your burning string. After the big D, do a slide boost. Collect the fire bubble and float up to Mr. Frosty. There's nothing special to fighting Mr. Frosty with fire. Crouch cancel if you need to. If Mr. Frosty's boss corpse obstructs the door, you can just walk in it or crouch cancel for safety. After the water room, we get Animal. Once you dig down to collect the first chest, you have two options. The option I personally recommend is using your fire bubble from earlier and beating the stage with it. Once you reach the big chest, grab a small chest from your stomach and spit it in front of the big chest as you collect it. This will skip a cutscene for some odd reason, which saves almost 5 seconds. Upon completing 1-3, you will want to re-enter the stage as we will be mixing for the wheel ability. Puff the flamer while they are moving to the right and slide boost off of the block if you want to save some extra time. Once you inhale the 2 flamers, wheel is the 6th ability on the roulette. Now I mentioned you had 2 options. If you wanted to try and save a tiny bit of time or a large amount of time if you're lucky, you can mix the sword and fire bubble together for a chance to get an extra wheel bubble. The odds of getting this wheel is estimated to be around a 1 in 6 chance. Getting a wheel bubble saves just under 13 seconds. If you don't get the bonus wheel, you can then mix off of these 2 animal enemies. This mix is more difficult than the mix off the flamers, as it is the 9th ability on the roulette. If you get this mix, this saves a whopping 0.1 seconds over the flamer mix. Enter 1-4 by buffering wheel, then wheel jump onto the warp star. Every time you touch an enemy using wheel, you will lose 3 frames of hit lag. It isn't important to worry about when starting off, but hit lag can make a major difference in top level Squeak. In the room with the sword and heavy knights, your first chest is found above the star blocks. After that, do an inverted wheel start so you don't bonk off the wall when using wheel. In the outside room, you will find the second chest. If you can shorten your wheel jump out of this, you will not need to unwheel and rewheel, but I shortened mine a little too much here. After grabbing the big chest, you will meet Storo. When you wheel inside Storo, Storo is not able to hit you during stun, meaning it is safe to turn around. This becomes fairly trivial once you back him into the corner. Once Storo reaches low health, grab the fire bubble up top. Storo has a chance to sleep and lose time. Once you kill him, backwards wheel jump twice to the gold door. In 1EX, feel free to mix the mixed bubble and fire bubble whenever in this stage. There are these really annoying pea shooter enemies on the bottom left. If you turn around close to the walls, they should never hit you. This third room is another good place to mix those bubbles. Don't buffer wheel when entering the fourth room. Walk up, invert wheel jump, and do that again. The small chest is found on the left side of this room. Don't buffer wheel in the big chest room. Do a wheel jump as soon as you can and make sure to unwheel before grabbing the big chest. This will make the ending very simple. 1-5 is one of the shortest stages in the game. This is what it looks like. Buffer wheel, do a quick wheel jump, do another quick wheel jump and turn left before unwheeling. Another quick wheel jump and then wheel jump into the wall. Float up, grab the chest, easy stage. And here is the stage again at full speed. King Dedede is easy once you figure out the rhythm. You start off by wheeling towards King Dedede, unwheel as you hit Dedede, turn around and wheel. Go past the middle of the stage and turn around and repeat from step 1. And just like that, that is King Dedede. Before we enter World 2, I want to take a moment to talk about question mark bubble mixing. Question mark mixing is a difficult but very rewarding part of Kirby Squeak Squad. The best way to practice question mark mixing is to repeatedly enter the Moley lobby and collect the question mark bubble on the top. Once you have a stomach full of question mark bubbles, create a save state. The order of the question mark mix is the same every time. The starting position, however, is random. The way successful question mark mixing is done is by looking for a certain ability on the roulette, then tapping after a certain point of time. In World 2, our goal is to get extra big star or wheel bubbles, which conveniently are next to each other on the roulette. Getting big stars or wheels are not required thanks to some backups, but will save you additional time. When question mark mixing for wheel, the item I like to look for is the invincibility candy. Once I see candy, I want to tap the screen quickly. Doing so should get me a wheel bubble every time. Candy is 8 before wheel and 7 before big star. Don't be hard on yourself if you find you are way off at first. Question mark mixing is fairly difficult to learn in my opinion, and it will take some time to get used to it. Getting a big star or wheel is an 8-frame window. As you practice question mark mixing more and more, you will begin to learn to predict when candy appears by looking at the abilities before it. You may start seeing more big stars once this happens, but be careful. You can also start tapping early for beam. I don't recommend practicing candy mixes immediately. It's more important to focus on getting good at big star wheel timing and build up muscle memory for that first. Starting in World 6, you will want to go for invincibility candies instead of big stars or wheels. 7 before candy is a tomato, which appears multiple times on the roulette, so we can't use that cue for candy. 8 before candy is sword, but I find having a cue close to the big star one messes me up, so I like to use laser as my cue, which is 9th on the roulette. Once I see laser, I wait about less than half a second and then tap. Getting candy is even more difficult than big star or wheel, a 4-frame window. Once again, these are not required thanks to backups, but succeeding will save you extra time. Upon beating Dedede, you have 2 cutscenes to skip. Skip both of them by mashing start. There's a lot happening in the first room of 2-1, so let's break it down. Start off the stage by buffering B and left on the D-pad, then do 5 quick wheel turns. After going past the Gordo, unwheel, and then wheel to break the star blocks. One quick thing to note with the turn above the Sparky. Generally, if you don't turn on the right side of the Sparky, the Gordo will spawn moving right, which can be a problematic situation. Here I cut it close, but the Gordo spawns moving left. Here, I perform my first question mark mix. I get Bomb, which is one ability late, but I mix the two bubbles and get a lucky wheel. For both cannons in the cannon room, you want to shoot right. The barrel is where the first chest is found. This room is another good one to use that question mark bubble in case you haven't yet. For the second chest, I take a bit of a safety. I unwheel and slide into the second bomb block. If I were to try and unwheel while inside of the big D, I could get an eat-in input which would result in me hitting the third bomb block, making me unable to grab the second chest. This big chest is special, as is the first of 5 star seals in the game. The end of the final room is tricky. After hitting the wheel block, wait just a moment and then unwheel. This will perfectly position Kirby onto the platform, wait another half a second, and then wheel to the exit. I missed the door in this recording. This ending is very difficult. In the second room, make sure to wait a bit after killing the snooter to turn. If you turn too early, you may go past the ladder. In the open room, you want to make your way up to the top. This is where the first chest will be found. If you do a jump before this yellow tile, you should never grab this mini bubble. The big chest is being held by Storo at the end of the stage. Just wheel into him once and grab the big chest. Invert wheel jump and hit the switch. Short hop as you grab the question mark bubble. This way, you'll never bonk off the gate. This second room is the perfect place to use that question mark bubble you just picked up. Here I get wheels, so right now I'm in a very good spot. In case you haven't gotten any wheels yet, there are many backups. In the third room, you want to pick up the big chest, then pick up the wheel bubble above. In the next room, we will be grabbing bubble, and we use that to get the second chest. Take bubble to Gao Gao. Before fighting Gao Gao, if you have mixed 2 big star bubbles up to this point, you can use one of the big stars against Gao Gao if you would like to follow the consistency route. I fail a slide boost before Gao Gao, but pretty much the strategy is to rapidly switch between aiming up and forward. The reason I do this is in case Gao Gao jumps, I will still be able to hit him. Crouch cancel as needed. At the end of Gao Gao, I inhale him for animal. If you cannot reasonably inhale Gao Gao, that's fine. There's an animal enemy in the room where you need it. In the digging room, you will want to dive down twice next to the corner, move in front of the Gordo, and dive down to avoid the mini bubble. When diving forward, don't dash or else you will do a grab instead of a dive. Then dive down to the bottom. Alrighty, this is where things get kinda complicated. By this point, you must have at least 1 wheel bubble. If you have more than 1 wheel bubbles thanks to bubble mixing or question mark mixing, then you can use one and pick up the second chest. Make sure you wait a split second for Kirby to collect the chest after using your wheel bubble. If you only have 1 wheel bubble by this point, you will be duplicating your wheel bubble. Dupes sound scary, but they can be made very consistent with practice. After diving down and collecting the chest, discard your ability and spit it at the Heavy Knight. Take any bubble that isn't wheel up Kirby's stomach, walk to the corner, and spit the bubble into the corner. Spitting a bubble at a 1-tile corner will allow the bubble to perfectly clip up the ledge, putting it in the perfect position for a dupe. Jump past it quickly, and as the bubble drifts to the right side, make your way to the center of the tile and crouch. Once the bubble drifts above Kirby, tap wheel. When you use the wheel bubble, Kirby will stop crouching and collect the bubble at the same time as using the wheel bubble. This will cause the bottom screen to go completely white, meaning you have successfully duplicated the wheel bubble. If you collect the bubble as it drifts over you, you are crouching too far forward. Here is the dupe again at full speed. In the last room, it is fine to unwheel before the Sparky thanks to iframes. Hop over the blue squeak to avoid an eaten input, backwards wheel jump left, and go down left. Wheel jump up twice to the platform with the Sparky, and backwards wheel jump after that. At the end of this room, you can do another backwards wheel jump here, but I just floated. You begin 2-4 with a buffered midair wheel jump. This is a nice short and simple stage. At the bottom of the second room, you will find the only chest of this stage. Don't buffer at the start of 2-5. In the third room, if you do a full jump on this exact tile and unwheel before touching the ground, you should always make it in the door without touching the fire tiles. Grab another wheel bubble and your first chest. Time for some more flowchart stuff. You must have at least 2 wheel bubbles before entering Metal Potato. If you have at least 1 big star bubble before fighting Metal Potato, you will be fighting Metal Potato using wheel. To fight Metal Potato with wheel, start on the right side of Metal Potato. Once the health bar fills, start wheeling and turn around to repeatedly hit Metal Potato. If Metal Potato goes to a corner, you will want to full jump before Metal Potato to bonk above him, then wheel for another hit. Turn around and repeat until Metal Potato is defeated. Once you defeat Metal Potato, use your big star bubble and spit it at the peak of your jump to break the metal blocks. Collect the second chest and make your way up to the door. If you don't have a big star bubble, discard wheel and pick up cutter for Metal Potato. To fight Metal Potato with cutter, spam cutter projectiles while holding up. By aiming your cutter projectiles up, they will clear any boulders above you. I got a rare pattern where Metal Potato rolls away from Kirby, but if he rolls towards you, crouch cancel. Once you defeat Metal Potato, discard cutter and inhale Metal Potato. Swallow metal in this area and discard it while facing left. Float up the ledge, inhale the metal star, then swallow and use metal above the metal blocks. If you have 3 wheel bubbles here, use a wheel bubble, pick up the second chest, and make it into the door. If you only have 2 wheel bubbles at this point, slide to pick up the chest and discard metal, float your way up to the door, and make your way to the next room. In the next room, jump past the boxen and make your way under the one-way platform. We are going to mix for wheel using the Parasol Dew. Once the Parasol Dew lands, inhale and you will inhale both the Waddle Dew and Parasol. Wheel is the second ability on the roulette, so timing it is fairly easy. There is also a faster method of this mix, but I don't recommend it for beginners. The way you set this up is by puffing each Parasol Dew, which will send them both next to the star block. You need to puff the lower end of the Waddle Dew and not the Parasol carrying them, so try to stay low. You need to be a bit patient with the inhale. If both enemies haven't fully touched the ground, you will only inhale one enemy. In the big chest room, start with a wheel jump. Fall down the semi-solid, wheel, and unwheel when you hit the switch. Make sure not to brush the wall as you jump up. Slide off the platform after hitting the switch, and wheel to spinny to pick up the big chest. This second room is pretty tricky. Once you wheel forward, invert wheel jump up the wall, walk forward, and then do another inverted wheel jump. Float up and puff the block. Make your way up to the Sword Knight and inhale sword. With Bonkers, as long as you don't attack too quickly, it will only take 4 sword swings to kill. After defeating Bonkers, inhale him for Hammer. At the top right of this room, hit the stump, which will lead you to the first chest. After going down the ladder, you want to take the bottom door. In the long room, I prefer to dash attack the bun. When approaching the Pengi, be sure to jump early. If you are in the range of their attack, they will hit you frame 1. Inside the barrel, you will find an invincibility candy. In the room after, slide towards the Golden D, then defeat him using a dash attack. In the big chest room, you are racing Storo to the big chest. I cannot stress this enough, but do not slide in this room. If you slide, Storo will travel to the big chest faster, and it won't be possible to reach him on time. That aside, I recommend dash attacking to get past the yellow squeak on top. An aerial attack has the risk of missing, and if you get hit, you will not be able to reach Storo on time. When approaching Storo, stop holding a direction on the D-pad so you don't accidentally dash attack into him. Instead, do a regular attack. As the big chest is falling into you, take either of the small chests and bring it up to the top of the touchscreen. This way, you can bypass the 5-slot item limit. Before entering Miss Moley, grab the question mark bubble up top. Miss Moley is easy. You just hammer flip 3 times. After beating Miss Moley, you have the opportunity to duplicate one of your wheel bubbles. Crouch in the center of the screen, and use a wheel bubble when the chest is around here for Wii U VC, or here for DS. On the level entrance screen, if there is a warp star underneath the level letter, that means you have collected every chest in that world. Since I successfully duped Wheel after Moley, this question mark bubble doesn't matter. Otherwise, you can use the question mark bubble in the first room to try and get a wheel or big star. Since I don't want this mixed bubble as it takes up inventory space, I unwheel as I pass over the Kret in the second room, move the bubble up my stomach, and spit it as I fall. Getting inside this door can be really annoying depending on the way the Sparky moves, but I got kinda lucky here. Don't buffer wheel in the third room. Jump earlier than I did here to not take out the star block above the slope, then backwards wheel jump and float cancel to make the gap a little quicker. Otherwise, float up, wheel, and unwheel when picking up the mini bubble. As soon as you can, move the mini bubble up your stomach, spit it at the wall, and do a backwards wheel start to pick up your first chest. In the blue room, you must have 1 candy bubble and at least 1 wheel bubble. If you have a big star bubble, you can use the big star to break the metal blocks to collect the second chest without using fire. Otherwise, inhale fire. Since I have 2 wheel bubbles here, I can use 1 after collecting the second chest. If you only have 1 wheel bubble and no big star before the second chest, then we will have to do another dupe. Inhale fire, then jump and burn so you leave a single layer of metal blocks. Bring your candy bubble up your stomach, collect the chest, and spit the bubble at the corner. The setup for this dupe is the exact same as 2-3. If you have 1 wheel and 1 candy bubble when exiting this room, then congratulations. You have made it past the most complex and annoying part of the run. You have what it takes to run 100% using this route. From this point onwards, the run is much more consistent and fun to play, in my opinion. In the last room, take out the yellow squeak to collect the big chest, then make your way to the gold door. In the first room of 3-2, you can pick up the pep root bubble and use it whenever you'd like. The top center of the water room is where you will find the secret door to the first chest. Up next is Boxy, which is a difficult fight with Wheel. Wheel jump into Boxy's arena and crouch inside of her so you can immediately crouch cancel and get a free Wheel hit. I actually got unlucky here. Boxy jumped immediately, which meant I couldn't get my free Wheel hit. After jumping to the center, however, Boxy stayed in that location, which is pretty lucky. If you are facing left as you defeat Boxy, you can turn around the moment you defeat her. In the big chest room, we have our second star seal. Do a full hop after starting your wheel, and then do a full hop on this slope. The timing is pretty generous, but when timed correctly, Doc will drop the big chest right in front of the gold door. In 3-3, you don't want to pick up either of the bubbles in this stage. In the vertical room, do a regular wheel jump and float up. Once this pulley on the right side passes you, move to around the center. Once you pass the two pulleys on the left side, move to the left. Inside the door hidden in the star blocks, you will find your first chest. In the little cave of the outside room, you will find a golden D holding the second chest. Make sure not to turn early and get all of the wheel hits. After hitting the switch below in the last room, you will find the big chest. Make sure to lower your wheel jump at the end to not bonk. Initiate a float underneath the Scarfy, then puff and perform a float cancel once you are on the same level as the ground. After entering the second room, grab and use fire to light the fuse. The first chest is found inside the clouds. Once you exit the cloud room, hold right and move the candy bubble up your stomach while you fall. To duplicate the wheel bubble using the slope, dash jump onto the slope, spit the candy bubble after landing on the slope, run to the right wall and duck underneath the bubble, then use the wheel bubble to duplicate it. In the past, I've had issues with this dupe because I ducked early to slide underneath the bubble. This is unnecessary. If I duck after reaching the wall, then this dupe will work every time. After duplicating wheel, use your iframes to make your way up to the warp star. After grabbing the bubbles in the warp star's path, use the pep brew bubble immediately. In the room with the second chest, do not forget to hit the first bomb block. I slide the second bomb block twice as a safety. This way, there is no risk of bonking. In the big chest room, you raise Spinny to the exit. Once you hit the switch, get rid of the mini bubble while Spinny is traveling towards you. Then invert wheel jump up to Spinny. In the open room of 3EX, follow my path exactly. Get rid of wheel to inhale the heavy knight as you touch the wall, otherwise you may re-inhale wheel. Use sword to hit the bomb block. To duplicate wheel again, take the candy bubble into your stomach, full jump and spit the candy bubble at the apex of your jump. The candy bubble will clip up the ledge, meaning you can duck underneath it on the center of the tile. Once the candy bubble goes above you, use the wheel bubble to duplicate it. Once you have duplicated wheel, head to the left where you will find your first chest. Then go left and go down the ladder. make your way up to the snooter and flow cancel. Once you reach the waddle doo, take a right and go down the ladder. When you hit the switch, go right to the cannon. In the door, you will find a second chest. Do a normal wheel jump after re-entering the big room, and grab the big chest. Do not buffer wheel when entering the next room. Do a full jump at the end of the spike strip, and then take the bottom path. Continue to the gold door. In the second room, do a wheel jump, cancel your wheel quickly after jumping, and upfloat to fling yourself up into the air. In the final room, wheel up to the wall, wait half a second, and then wheel jump to grab the chest. As you float up to Kracko, use the candy bubble. As long as you follow my movements exactly, you will always kill Krak before he goes off screen a second time. In the first room of 4-1, you will want to grab Cutter. Stand on the switch and hold up when using Cutter to get your first chest. Grab the fighter bubble for a chance to get a bonus wheel. When fighting Box Boxer, you can crouch cancel his jump. If he runs into you, he will grab you crouching or not. Generally, you will want to keep your distance by holding down the B button for a bit of time. In the vertical room, grab high jump. You can either mix your bubbles here or at the start of the next room. In the next room, kill the laser enemy, then make your way up top. Once you destroy the bomb block, grab your mixed bubble, because it's time to duplicate wheel. My visual cue for spitting the mixed bubble is on the edge of the tile the pea shooter is on. After spitting, slide by ducking underneath the bubble, and you will get it every single time. These spikes after the dupe are kind of scary. If you don't feel confident getting past them without getting hit, you can factory to get past them without losing wheel. In the downwards room, watch out for the Heavy Knight. If you hug the wall the pea shooter is on without holding a direction, it is impossible to get hit by him. In the big chest room, wheel jump over the center platform and finish the stage. In the second room of 4-2, grab the sword bubble. At the end of this room, unwheel, run up to the Big D, and crouch cancel to make your way inside the door quickly. Go up to the top of the room with the ninja to open the path, then go up and left to grab the first chest. The big chest is a star seal. Make sure to wheel jump here so you do not bonk. In the room with the big boulder, align Kirby on the edge of this tile right here and crouch. You can take some extra time to mix sword and your mixed bubble. After crouch canceling, wheel jump to avoid hit lag from the snooter. Make sure to keep this cherry after picking it up so we can avoid picking up a mini bubble later in the stage. Take the top path. At the end of this room, go up and grab your first chest. After grabbing the fire bubble, start holding either that or the mix bubble, then mix the two after passing over the mini bubble. In the dark room, you can eat the cherry whenever, but I forgot to in this recording. Once you make your way up next to the door, detour left to find the second chest in the barrel. The big chest room is self-explanatory. Hit dock with wheel. Start 4-4 with a buffered mid-air wheel jump. Avoid the metal and mini bubbles and take the right path. The first chest is the Golden D, found on the right path. After the room with the first chest, you are going to go up and fight the bubble crab. When entering the arena, make your way to the left side. The moment the health bar is filled, use wheel and jump. Turn around and jump again for 2 free hits. After that, do a full height wheel jump, since sometimes bubble crab can go all the way to the right side. After doing 2 more wheel jumps, the bubble shield will break and the bubble crab will fall to the ground. After 2 more wheel hits, if you are facing right, turn around the moment you touch bubble crab and you will turn underneath the corpse. After the cannon, I like to do a backwards wheel turn to avoid bonking off of nothing. Make sure to jump over the 3rd strip of star blocks to avoid falling down the gaps. When entering the secret room, grab the fire bubble and use it once it is settled in Kirby's stomach. Burn the metal blocks to grab your second chest. Go to the bottom of the bubble crab room and then make your way up the vertical room. When burning the metal blocks at the top of the vertical room, I like to float up high and then start using fire. This way I don't accidentally miss a block and cut myself off before using a wheel bubble. After using the wheel bubble, grab the other wheel bubble and make your way inside the door. Stora works the same way as 3-1. Just be mindful of the electrical walls. In the first room of 4EX, full hop when you touch the ground. I find this makes entering the first door a lot easier. In the second room, instantly cancel your wheel jump and hold up. If you don't already have a second wheel bubble, feel free to pick up a bomb bubble. In the third room, you can pick up the parasol bubble if you don't already have a second wheel. Otherwise, the way I like doing this room is to turn 3 times, take out the Scarfy, and then turn 2 more times. The first chest is found on the left side. Next, wheel down the 2-tile gap of star blocks. Jump, bonk, then float cancel. Do a full height wheel jump to take out the baddie, then collect the second chest and head into the door. When landing on the moving platform, do a regular wheel jump and bonk above the Pangy. Then wheel up to the left single tile and do another wheel jump up to the top platform. Once the boulder opens the path above you, wheel jump, turn around, jump to get inside the door. In the big chest room, avoiding the yellow squeak can be annoying thanks to luck. I found it's better to not float up in case the squeak avoids your wheel jump. The last room is pretty difficult. Overall, I recommend doing a lot of practice in this stage. Four 5 is pretty short and only has 1 chest. so I pick up all 3 bubbles here. If you feel confident fighting Yadogaine with sword, you can do the same. On your way to the bottom of this room, you can shake the bubbles as you mix them until the bubbles turn white for a chance to get sword. I'm not sure what the odds of getting sword are, but here I get it on my first try. If you are doing Yadogaine with sword, try and get some health from the goal game if you don't have full health. Before entering Yadogaine, if you don't have a sword bubble, pick up the tornado bubble. If you only have 1 wheel bubble, then pick up an extra. To do Yadogaine with sword, start with a crouch cancel, then do 3 sword attacks, repeat. After 4 crouch cancels, I like to do just 1 sword attack and an up B for a quicker finisher. Slide afterwards so you don't have a chance of getting hit after defeating Yadogaine. Yadogaine with Tornado is a lot easier. Use Tornado as soon as Yadogaine appears and try to take a quarter of its health with each Tornado. If done correctly, you will defeat it within 4 uses of Tornado. If you only have 1 wheel bubble when entering 5-1, you can duplicate it by doing a full jump next to the first platform, essentially the same one done in 3EX. Otherwise, if you have 2 wheel bubbles when entering World 5, use it during the world transition and enter 5-1 with a buffered midair wheel jump. In the second room, pick up the question mark bubble, then go up through the spikes to get the first chest. To get the second chest, I like to float and puff the switch. Make sure to move forward about half a tile from the gate to not miss. The big chest is once again a star seal. Buffer wheel when entering the room, and you'll always hit the squeak. Then wheel to the exit. Immediately when entering 5-2, use the question mark bubble to try and get an extra wheel bubble. In the second room, if you start floating after bonking off this edge, you will never get hit by the hothead. Inhale and swallow the top hothead next to the flame pillar. This way, you can abuse iframes as you hit the switch behind the pillar. Your first chest is found here. In the third room, buffering a burn and sliding twice will put you in the perfect position to slide boost. Make sure to puff the Bronto Bird. In the next room, buffer a burn, float up, and burn left to the door. Do another burn forward after, and use fire to hit the switch. Your second chest is found at the end of this little section. The big chest is found at the start of the last room. Aim fire to hit the switch and burn as you collect the chest. Enter 5-3 by buffering a jump and then get rid of wheel for sword. It is time for the boss rush. With Bonkers, if you attack him at a specific rate, you will never get a weak hit and will defeat Bonkers in 4 hits. Inhale and swallow Bonkers for hammer, hit the stump for your first chest. I like to slide up to Gao Gao and use up B. Crouch cancel as needed. Inhale and swallow Gao Gao for animal. Use the dive attack to grab the second chest, then dig up into the door. Attack Metal Potato at the same rate you did with sword against Bonkers. If you see a boulder above you or jumping over Metal Potato is inconvenient, crouch cancel. Inhale Metal Potato, but don't swallow him as metal will slow you down. Instead, go through the door as Fat Kirby and swallow above the metal blocks and use that to collect the big chest. When entering Storo's room, go inside the hideout, collect and use the hammer bubble, and then exit the hideout. When fighting Storo with hammer, if you do a regular attack at some point before your third hammer flip, you will defeat Storo without stunning him. If you only have one wheel bubble before entering 5-4, re-enter 5-3, line yourself up in front of the hothead, quickly slide your finger from the A to the B button to inhale both enemies, and wheel is the 6th ability on the roulette. When entering 5-4, slide into the Waddle Dee and discard your ability. Line yourself up with the dark line between these two tiles, and then Kirby will be able to inhale the candy bubble. If you have the extra wheel bubble, use it before swallowing the candy bubble, otherwise re-inhale wheel and make your way to the end of the room. In the vertical room, wheel jump and bonk, then wheel jump off of the top platform or just float up. When lining yourself up here, you will never get hit by the pea shooters. At the end of the room, I prefer to puff the Sparky and jump over them. In the next room, wheel jump after the snooters to find the room with the golden D. Buffering wheel is fine, just don't turn left too early, and make sure to get all of the wheel hits. Start the open room with a buffered backwards wheel start and hit the switch. The timing for making it past the gate on time is pretty forgiving as long as you have wheeled. Past the gate is your second chest. In the big chest room, make sure not to unwheel early, backwards wheel jump onto the next platform, then wheel jump bonk float, then wheel jump to hit dock. Collect the big chest and make your way to the gold door. Enter 5EX with a buffered mid-air jump, and enter the top door. Use wheel immediately, wheel jump, and crouch cancel, then make your way to the first chest. After collecting the first chest, jump before turning so you don't get hit. Grab and use the hammer bubble to escape from the top room, then go to the top left door. Use hammer to break the stumps, generally moving right to find the second chest. Use your wheel bubble at the top of this room and wheel jump to the top right door. It is very important you don't get hit here. So full hop before the gap, then short hop, then turn around and wheel jump, as a backwards wheel jump has the potential of getting you hit. In case you don't have a wheel bubble for some reason, go down to the bottom left door and grab fire. When entering the top right door, slide, then burn, and you will catch Spinny on time. Once you complete the stage with fire, you can go back to 5-3 to do the wheel mix. The way I recommend doing Bohboh is like this. Start the fight with a wheel jump. If Bohboh charges towards you, use your candy. If Bohboh goes off screen, use candy once he comes back on screen. It's not worth it to wait longer in case Bohboh waits a long time, then goes off screen a second time before charging, which is fairly uncommon. If Bohboh does anything else before either of those two things, hit him with more wheel jumps. In case Bohboh still has health left over after your candy runs out, it should only take a few more wheel hits to finish Bohboh. If you feel comfortable chasing Bohboh, you can use candy at the start of the fight. If Bohboh goes off screen once, you can still finish him before your candy runs out if you do a good job chasing Bohboh. But if Bohboh goes off screen twice, that kinda puts you in a bad spot. Don't collect any extra bubbles in 6-1. Alright, good luck with 6-1 Gao Gao, everyone. Start the fight with the crouch cancel so Gao Gao faces towards the arena. Gao Gao can do many things from here. Jump forward, jump backwards, jump in place, jump in the air, and travel towards you, or start spinning. In this example, I got very ideal luck where Gao Gao jumps forward immediately, allowing me to hit Gao Gao repeatedly without needing to unwheel. Gao Gao then jumps up high and lands in the center. This is an example of perfect Gao Gao luck. Here's another example with less than ideal luck. After my crouch cancel, Gao Gao stays still, which is pretty rare. I don't wheel immediately, since if Gao Gao decides to start jumping, I will get hit. If Gao Gao does start jumping here, I would go for another crouch cancel and try to get another 1 or 2 free wheel hits. Instead of jumping, Gao Gao decides to begin spinning. I wheel towards him, but I make sure not to full hop until the moment I hit Gao Gao. This is to help prevent an Eden input, which unfortunately can happen a lot on this fight. After that, go for another bonking hit. Gao Gao then jumps forward, allowing me to finish him off easily. When defeating Gao Gao, turn around later than usual since you are on ice. 6-1 Gao Gao is a very difficult fight and takes a lot of getting used to, so be sure to practice it lots. The first chest is found at the bottom of this room. In the icy water room, wheel jump on the slope in front of the ice blocks to find your second chest. In the room after, go down the destructible blocks to find yourself an invincibility candy bubble, then make your way up the room. In the final room, slide, turn around, and wheel jump to break the star blocks. Then float cancel and turn to hit Storo for the big chest. Make sure not to turn too early. The way I like to do 6-2 is to start with a buffered midair wheel jump, short hop, and then 2 full hops. This way, you will make it to the end of the room easily. Don't buffer in the second room. Move forward, backwards wheel jump, and float to the top of the room. There you will find your first chest. Don't buffer in the cannon room. Wheel jump and hop over the first cannon, unwheel and wheel again as you hit the fire block, and then full hop at the end of the platform. Unwheel and rewheel again after hitting the next fire block, then hop up the ledge, wheel jump to open the path, and then float cancel to the door. Wheel before touching the bottom floor so you don't bounce, wheel jump to the right platform, and then wheel jump to grab the chest and make your way into the door. In the second room, wheel jump your way up the steps and destroy the bomb block and discard a wheel. The way I like to do the wheel mix is to climb the ladder up to the top, walk off the ledge, and then release the D-pad and hold B. You should almost always inhale both enemies doing it this way. Float your way up to the next room and land on the second falling platform. Avoid the Sparky and hit the stump with hammer. You want to use your high jump bubble before picking up the first chest, but be careful. If you use the bubble while the bomb blocks are moving the chest up to you, the chest will clip through the floor. In the next room, use high jump to make your way up quickly. As long as you are in the middle of using high jump, it is impossible to avoid the second chest. In the big chest room, start with a high jump. Once Kirby falls to around the same level as the chest, high jump again. Mashing high jump from here should never get you hit. In 6-4, you want to inhale the bubble head and Fat Kirby your way up the slopes. Damage boost off the Heavy Knight and run to the right side. The way I like to do this is to turn around, swallow bubble, and hit the bomb block to get your first chest. Slide boost off the ledge and make your way into the door. In the second room, grab Tornado. When entering Boxy's arena, slide up to Boxy and use Tornado right as the health bar is filled. This will make fighting Boxy very trivial. Once you defeat Boxy, make your way to the next room. In the next room, buffer Tornado and grab the high jump bubble, and make your way into the door. After that, buffer Tornado and take out the blocks and Snooter. Then get rid of Tornado and make your way up to the second chest. To get the second chest, do a jump inhale. As long as you aren't sliding your fingers across A and B, you will get the inhale every time. Use the high jump bubble before swallowing, and then swallow the chest to make your way into the door. In the next room, high jump right twice, then high jump left twice, high jump right one more time, and go into the door. The way I like to do this next room safely is to high jump once, let Kirby bonk off the ground, and then do 3 high jumps. After the third high jump, up float over the fully, and then puff and high jump. Then up float over the last fully, and go into the door. The big chest room is easy, just smash high jump. Start 6-5 with a buffered high jump. Grab the ninja and question mark bubbles before entering Spinny. When entering Spinny, move forward and high jump as Spinny jumps towards the chest. Then use the ninja bubble and start holding B. Release B once Spinny gets up from stun, and then alternate between throwing shurikens and the charge attack until Spinny is finished. In the next room, grab the sword and question mark bubbles. When fighting Storo, dash towards him and use the regular slash. Once you knock Storo over, use your question mark bubble to try and get a candy. I get it first try here, but if you miss, you can try your second question mark bubble if Storo falls asleep. If you have room, you can pick up a question mark bubble before Doc. For Doc, go to the center platform and hit Doc with a regular sword slash once, which will send Doc into stun. If you have a question mark bubble, try and mix it for candy. If you don't get a candy in 6-5, it's not the end of the world, and I will explain that after Daroach. Otherwise, if you already have your candy, clear your inventory as needed to pick up the last chest. It only takes one more sword slash to defeat Doc. At the start of 6EX, make sure you remove sword if you haven't already. Then slide once you touch the ground and inhale wheel. Then make your way to the bottom of the room without bonking for your first chest. In the open room, wheel on the water and unwheel before the waterfall, otherwise you will bonk off your own ice. Swim underneath and wheel to the end of the room, and then backwards wheel jump up and make your way into the door. In the next room, unwheel before the waterfall and try to align Kirby sorta sticking outside of the left side. Spray the ice blocks to get inside the hidden door quickly. Don't buffer wheel in the Golden D room. Instead, slide the blocks and wheel to take out the Golden D. Make sure you get all of your wheel hits on the Golden D. This room can be a big run killer, so if you get yourself in a dire scenario, don't be afraid to discard wheel to inhale the Golden D. If you can't recover wheel, get ice and re-enter the stage for another wheel. Keep your distance from the Pengi or you will get hit. Wheel jump out of the water to go into the right door. To do Spinny the easy way, wheel as soon as Kirby touches the ground. Jump at the snowman to hit Spinny and send him into stun. Once Spinny is unstunned, wheel into him repeatedly until Spinny is defeated. I take it a bit slow here for safety, as losing your ability can lead to really bad things. In case you do lose wheel to Spinny, make sure you have all of your chests and run away from Spinny so he throws a shuriken. You can swallow that for Ninja and then re-enter 6EX for wheel. Use the candy as soon as you enter Daroach. There are 2 attacks you are looking for when fighting Daroach, the triple star, but more importantly the ice beam. If you see Daroach travel to the other side of the screen, chase him as he is likely preparing for an ice beam. If Daroach throws a bomb, then he may start teleporting away by the time you reach him. Otherwise, Daroach should be kind to you most runs. You must have 1 candy bubble when entering World 7. If you fail to mix a candy bubble in 6-5, you must go back to World 5 and pick up the candy bubble in 5-4. In the second room of 7-1, you can make it past the second glunk without getting hit, but I personally recommend spinning both the second and third glunks. The first chest of 7-1 can be a scary one. As soon as you pass the upper spike strip, start holding up and A, then loop around for the first chest. The second chest is found in the Fully room. Take a left immediately and hit the bomb block. Follow the lower path, hit the bomb block, and collect the chest. Then backwards wheel jump up and float cancel. This can be a little difficult, so you can also float up and crouch cancel. The big chest room in 7-1 is bugged, so you can buffer wheel when entering it. 2 full hops in a row from the cloud ledge should make it up to the right lip. Backwards wheel jump from there, and turn late after hitting Storo to grab the chest after turning. Start 7-2 with a buffered mid-air wheel jump and shorten that. The way I like to do it is to let go of A as soon as the screen starts to fade in, but I did it a little bit late here. In the wind room, wheel jump to the first platform, then wheel jump to the top platform and unwheel on the last one. The easiest way to get this chest using wheel is to slide off the ledge and hold no direction on the D-pad. Start using wheel the moment before Kirby touches the left cloud and you will get the chest every time. After collecting the chest, short hop up, unwheel, and do 2 wheel jumps to get into the door. In case you lost wheel, you can get this chest without wheel too. To do that, slide off of the ledge and hold no direction on the D-pad. Right when Kirby touches the left cloud, start holding right on the D-pad, and you will get the chest every time. Float your way into the door and you will find a wheel at the bottom of the next room. In the next room, float up to the single flat tile and perform a wheel jump there. Make sure to not be too far left or else you could hit the fire block and lose wheel instantly. If that happens, just use your fire bubble. Follow the path to the door to fight Bubble Crab. To do 7-2 Bubble Crab quickly, don't wheel until Kirby touches the floor. Wheel past Bubble Crab and then turn around and jump for 2 free hits. Just like 4-4, it is 3 more wheel hits to break the bubble shield, and then 2 hits after that to finish Bubble Crab. In the next room, use the fire bubble on the top of the room and start burning. Mix your bubbles whenever you can, just know that collecting another bubble or food will interrupt your mix. You can perform this room a lot cleaner than I did here. In the last room, burn twice and Doc will always drop the big chest next to the door. Don't miss it. Start 7-3 by sliding off the first 2 ledges. Turn around immediately after sliding off the second ledge and bounce over the Gordo. Once you see the pea shooter on the right wall, float and puff so you will always avoid their attack. When you reach the bottom, burn through the clouds at the bottom of this room for your first chest. After the first room, go to the right side of the screen and use fire to always take out the Sword Knight. Walk and use fire on the bomb block to open up the second chest. The big chest in 7-3 can be another scary one. Make sure you remember to spit the blipper on the way down. As a safety, I prefer to spit Spinny twice. This way, I never lose the big chest as I enter the door. Start the first room of 7-4 by swimming up and then falling down once Kirby passes by the upper star blocks. For your first chest, spit the switch and travel down the current. If you don't slip up, you can hold A when exiting the current to grab the chest. If you do not already have a bonus wheel, pick up the sword bubble here and mix it in the next room to try and get a bonus wheel. In the next room, just swim your way down the center current. This is the only stage I recorded in 2 parts, as the wrecked ship is one of the most difficult parts of the game to do quickly. Start by uploading to the top and burn twice. Make your way to the ladder and then burn left twice and take out the Sparky. This is a bit difficult and you can just discard and inhale your ability normally, but here I press B almost immediately after discarding my ability with X. I do this by clawing both buttons. Damage boost this Fat Kirby on the spikes and then swallow your ability. Inside the barrel is your second chest. You want to burn 3 times here, but I failed and got hit by the Waddle Doo. Keeping fire by this point doesn't matter, so just hit the switch and make your way to the final room. You will want to discard fire anyway before entering the final room. The path of the final room is to run in the first door, turn left and inhale the yellow squeak holding the big chest, spit the big D and quickly climb up the ladder to the top right door. In the case where the Sparky is in a bad position, you can just crouch cancel to get past them. Seven 5 is a short and fun stage. Slide forward and get wheel. Pop up to hit the switch, then unwheel and re-wheel immediately after. This will set you up to grab the chest perfectly as it falls. The rest of the stage is self-explanatory. Seven EX is a difficult stage to remember, so I recommend practicing it a lot to build up good muscle memory. In the first room, buffer wheel and jump into the center door. Don't buffer in the second room, just move left and wheel jump to the door. In the third room, wheel jump to the center door again. Buffer wheel in the fourth room, turn around when you hit the bomb block, and then backwards wheel jump to the door. In the fifth room, just wheel jump to the door. In the sixth room, run forward and wheel jump to hit the switch and take out the golden D for your first chest. In the seventh room, go in the right door, and the second chest will be found in the eighth room. Finally, in the big chest room, wheel jump onto the cherry platform, wheel jump and bonk into the platform holding the big chest, and then run forward, hit Stora with the regular wheel jump, and enter the gold door. This room takes a bit of practice to get used to. If you already have a bonus wheel, just collect the sword bubble, otherwise collect both wheels before Meta Knight. When entering Meta Knight, wheel jump to Meta Knight's platform, use your candy bubble and hope Meta Knight stays still. In this recording I got very lucky and hardly needed to move, but you may need to chase Meta Knight around the stage if he is not so kind to you. The other thing to note when fighting Meta Knight is the clip. If Meta Knight starts guarding inside of Kirby repeatedly, jump out or else Meta Knight will clip in the floor for some odd reason. Having Meta Knight guard inside of you is very rare, but it's good to keep this in mind. Meta Knight shouldn't stay in the floor forever, but you may need to wait up to 30 seconds for Meta Knight to clip back in bounds. In 8-1, my visual cue for the backwards wheel jump is this pipe in the background right here. The second room of 8-1 is tricky. 2 full hops on these platforms here should allow you to get through the star blocks quickly. Doing so should allow you to never get hit by these pea shooters. With the big star block, I found it's best to unwheel earlier than usual, otherwise I get an eaten input. If you aren't confident on wheeling before the cannon, you can always just short hop and go around. Do 3 medium-sized jumps to get past these platforms here, and take the lower path to hit the switch. In the next room, make sure not to accidentally go inside the barrel. Doing a full jump after the second barrel will allow you to bonk off the bomb block and make it past the Gordos easily. Here is the path for 8-1 cannons. Start by going top left to get the candy. Then after the fade out, start holding A to buffer a top cannon shot. Use your sword bubble and perform an up B to grab the first chest quickly. If you don't have sword, you have to get the chest using the fire bubble. After that, you take the bottom left path. If you manage to get a wheel before this stage, use it and collect the wheel bubble. If you didn't get a wheel bubble, you can collect the wheel bubble, slide underneath this burner right here, and use your candy bubble to dupe the wheel bubble. This dupe is a bit harder than the rest of them, and it's not the end of the world if you fail it, you'll just need to take high jump to Neb. Once you are done with all of that, short hop after the last burner and collect the second chest. You only need to jump once after that to not bonk. Coming up is the scariest chest in the run. Make sure to wheel jump over this pep brew bubble. Never collect this bubble. This is how I like to do Spinny. The moment after Spinny picks up the big chest, start wheeling and jump. Do it correctly, and the big chest will land in the center of the platform. After that, I personally like to avoid the bottom path, as an Enid input on the bottom path can also end your run. In the first room of 8-2, do a backwards wheel jump against the left wall, float up a platform, and then wheel jump from there. At the end of the room, I prefer to unwheel when going under the last Waddle Dee. Don't buffer in the second room, just repeatedly wheel jump across the star block room. Shorten your wheel jump after the naughty, then full hop at the end of the platform. Start the vertical room with the backwards wheel jump. The Pangy's Ice Breath hitbox is abnormally large, so I recommend taking both of them extra safe. Puff the block to the left of the Sparky and wheel to the hidden door. Ignore the very first switch. Then hit the first switch in the second set for your first chest. After taking out the ninja in the water room, go down against the left wall and wheel over the water tiles. After the body of water after the second ninja, wheel jump and hop off the top of the water. Fall off the long strip of water, unwheel and rewheel, then unwheel and upfloat as you jump over the second glunk. After that, take out the golden D for your second chest. In the final room, jump to grab the big chest. If you are getting 100% for a practice file, avoid picking up this big chest. Completing the ghost medal means Ted Hahn will replace some of the bosses in the game, meaning you will no longer be able to practice those bosses. After the goal game, take a moment to hydrate during the ghost cutscene. In the first room of 8-3, full hop before the bun. Short hop, and then do 2 full hops. The star block at the end of this room is a block-in. Short hop onto the block-in and jump as early as possible to clear the gap before the door. After taking out the Waddle Doo, enter Gao Gao's arena. Instant inhale your ability and spin it at Gao Gao, then use your laser bubble. Make sure to short hop as you laser, this way you will catch Gao Gao as he jumps. Discard laser before or while climbing this ladder. Go past the door and grab Animal. Dive down, then right, then down, then left to hit the switch. Run back to where you were, but make sure you aren't dashing when you dive right, otherwise you will do a grab attack. Dive right, then dive down twice. Try to dive as low as you can left, so you can pick up the first chest during your last dive. Discard Animal before or after the ladder, and make your way up to the door. Grab Fire and then Slide Boost, which I failed here. Then burn your way to the end of the room. Burn 4 times, then discard Fire for high jump. High jump, slide, high jump twice, and then fall down to high jump the metal blocks for your second chest. There's 2 ways you can go about Dock. One is to inhale a single entity. Hit Dock with a single star, then hit Dock using one of the UFOs. Use your wheel bubble after doing that, which I forget to do here. Pretend I actually did that. The better way of doing this room is to get a double star before hitting Dock, which can be made easier using your own ability star. Once you hit Dock with a double star, pop your wheel bubble, crouch to avoid losing your ability to a UFO, then wheel jump to finish off Doc. Enter the Dark Daroach lobby with the buffered wheel. Wheel jump underneath the cutter bubble to pick up that one and the question mark bubble. Dark Daroach works pretty much the same way as the first time. Wheel jump up to him and use your candy bubble. After defeating Dark Daroach, you can try to mix the question mark bubble for a bonus candy. Succeeding won't save time, but will make the Dark Nebula fight easier. Once you've done that, discard and inhale your ability and collect Triple Star as Fat Kirby. After collecting the Triple Star, you will carry Wheel into the next section, so swallow immediately. I like to wheel and hop onto the first platform, then wheel jump to the top one. I pick up both food bubbles here because they are in my path and extra safety is nice. The Neb climb is a section that takes a lot of practice to get good at. Jump up the first platform, then follow my movements exactly. Be sure not to backwards wheel jump into a boulder on accident. Dark Nebula has a small learning curve, but it becomes pretty easy once you understand how to use cutter effectively in this fight. Use the cutter bubble at any point before starting the fight, and you can use the candy bubble whenever you'd like for safety. Pretty much the strategy for this fight is to stay near the center, jump, use cutter, and curve your projectiles up or down to hit Neb. If you don't have a candy, you can crouch cancel Neb's attacks when needed. There isn't much else to this fight aside from doing a good job chasing Neb with your projectiles. Once you defeat Neb, timing ends once the screen fully fades to white. Thank you so much for watching my tutorial. This video is the result of hundreds of hours spent on collecting footage, scripting, recording, and editing purely for my love of this game. I'd like to give a special thanks to all of my friends who encouraged me to work hard on this. I hope you do end up picking up this category. It can be very frustrating at first, but over time this category becomes an absolute blast to run. And if you do want to run the category, linked below is the speedrun.com page for this game, and the Kirby Speedrunning Discord. The last thing I want to say before ending this video is that the game will not count all 120 chests until you advance past the 100% screen to the title screen. As of the time of recording, forgetting to show the 100% screen or softer setting early won't invalidate your run, as long as you have 118 chests when entering Dark Daroach, but I encourage at least showing the 100% screen every run. That's pretty much it for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a great day. Like and subscribe!